Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to our channel. On today's video, we're going to be talking about why after being a lifelong General Motors fan, recently switched over to Toyota. Now, if you're a Toyota fan, I don't want you to start bragging because even after owning a Toyota, I still think they're alien and weird creatures that I'm not accustomed to, and you win by default. So let me explain to you guys how long I've been a General Motors fan and how much it hurts me that despite being a lifelong fan of General Motors, that I will now have a Toyota sitting on the driveway. The reasons why I did this are pretty obvious. The cost of maintenance and the cost of fuel means that driving around in a Camry all over America makes a lot more sense than driving around in a giant GMC pickup truck. In the year 2021, I got to live out the dream of every little kid to go to a dealership and pick out a brand new pickup truck, and even better, without a car payment because I bought it cash. I wrote a check for $46,000, bought a brand new Silverado, and drove all across America. I have always loved the General Motors brand, and to be able to pick up one of their brand new pickup trucks and take it on a road trip across America was one of the coolest things I've ever done. My driveway has always had General Motors vehicles, and they have always been reliable. The 6.0 pickup truck and my GMC Yukon were very reliable vehicles. I got over 240,000 miles on my truck without letting me down once. However, there were still some common GM problems that have always plagued these vehicles, and both of those vehicles had those issues. You would think that if I were to go and buy a brand new Chevy truck, I wasn't going to have to deal with any of these common GMC problems that, like Toyota, they've been perfecting their cars over the years, that GMC would be doing the same thing. However, I quickly learned that my brand new purchase of a Silverado was a huge mistake because unlike Toyota, who's been perfecting their vehicles, General Motors is just taking shortcuts and taking advantage of their customers who buy their products to sell them a piece of crap. The reliability difference between Toyota and GM is a night and day difference. Even though the pickup truck was worth almost twice as much as the car with more miles, since it wasn't a brand new Toyota purchase, it was about a year old, already had 15,000 miles. That Toyota Camry with 15,000 miles seemed more mechanically sound than a brand new pickup truck with 0 miles. So I hop on the brand new pickup truck and I put 8,000 miles on it. We went to New York, we went to Michigan, and I came back to Florida. And there were several sensors that had already misfunctioned. And there was also leaking oil from the engine and the transmission. So I knew that this Chevy truck, if it was already giving me trouble with less than 10,000 miles, for the long stretch, it wasn't a vehicle that I was going to keep. I returned it to the dealership, and I lost about $8,000. But I figured it'd be better to lose $8,000 now than to be stuck with that lemon Silverado. Toyota has been implementing changes to make their cars look more stylish and attractive to the young buyer. However, I'm going to be honest and say that the styling points on the Silverado are 100 times better than the Camry. Despite the fact that Toyota's been trying to make their cars look cooler, they were known for reliability, but now they have to keep up with the trends and make their cars look fun and attractive. And they've done a great job with some of these vehicles. The styling points of a Silverado are still superior, but when it comes to reliability and the brand, it seems like General Motors is really shoving garbage down their customers' throats, and a lot of GM buyers are already sticking to the old vehicles and refusing to buy the new ones. Toyota seems to have, as a brand, another psychology. While the General Motors has sold the brand and started shoving garbage products down their customers' throats, Toyota is known for making sure that their quality is always improving. And that is the philosophy of Toyota. However, there's a little catch. the dealerships are still American owned and operated. And while overall the brand of Toyota promises care and respect for their customer, that doesn't mean you're going to get it from the dealerships. And that happens with General Motors and with Toyota. So when it comes to servicing a new vehicle, you're going to find that both GM and Toyota are going to try to scam you and tell you your car needs certain things, or certain things that are supposed to be covered. When you go in there and need it, they're not actually covered. So it seems like that's just a general American way of doing business, which is to defraud the buyer, to sell you all types of warranties and promises, and when something actually breaks, there's some type of yellow tape or explanation why they can't do it, and you have to pay, even though you understood that you wouldn't have to pay for these things. And again, it's not so much the brand of Toyota, it's the dealerships that are owned by American business owners, and that's the way they go about it. So when it comes to servicing the vehicles, I can almost assure you that you're going to deal with the same nasty business practices from GM as you will from Toyota. Now, when it comes to how the vehicles are built, I can assure you there's a huge difference in the overall quality of a Toyota versus that of GM, because GM in the building process of the vehicle doesn't seem to really care too much about the final product or improving the technology the way Toyota has. So while I love my GMC and my Chevy trucks, I don't see me touching one of these things, especially the new ones, with all the problems they're having. So now, regarding the purchase of a new vehicle, we're looking at reliability and we're looking at practicality. Despite the fact I don't feel comfortable in a Toyota, I don't believe in the branding. I've joined some Toyota groups, and yeah, they put some cool spoilers and this and that and rims and this and that in their cars, and I just don't feel that same emotion that I feel when I see a Chevy truck on some big wheels. When I see an old school American car with some big shiny wheels, I get a different emotion than when I see a brand new Toyota that might look cool and sporty, but it just doesn't have that same feeling. So yes, I have a Toyota. Am I in love with it? It's just a transportation. Deep down, I'm still a GMC fan, and I love the sporting aspect of it, the culture of it, everything about it. What I don't love is that today, if you buy a brand new GMC truck, you're going to have problems before you get to 10,000 miles. And when you take it back to the dealership, they're going to give you some type of runaround instead of saying, hey, you purchased a brand new vehicle cash. It's a shame that you have to bring it back to us already with a problem. Let's make this right. But that's not the answer that I got when I took my vehicle back to the dealership. They were clearly going to start giving me the runaround, and there's already lemon law lawsuits against General Motors. I could have gone down that route, but I just decided, you know what? My entire life, I've loved this brand. I've been crazy about these trucks. Now I have the opportunity to go there and buy one brand spanking new, and it lets me down. That's a disappointment that I don't think I can get past. I'm hurt and I feel betrayed as a customer. And I'm not buying into the Toyota care and that we're going to make sure it stays on the road, because at the end of the day, I've already gone into service twice. One time in Ocala, another time in Naples. And I can already see that Toyota plays the same dirty games when it comes to service as General Motors. The difference being that at least with Toyota, the actual product is a whole lot better. When it comes to retaining the value of the vehicle, it doesn't seem like Toyota or GMC are bad at depreciation, since I bought my Yukon at $10,900 and I sold it for $8,000 about a year later. In my pickup truck, I got it for $8,600 and I got $4,600, which means I only lost $4,000 of value over about a 5 or 6 year period, adding over 120,000 miles to it. So I can't really complain about that. GM has really held up its value, and Toyota has a reputation for holding up its value. But let's be honest, this Camry is not exactly the Toyota of 5 or 6 years ago. This thing has lane assist and adaptive cruise control, which means if you have an accident in this car, the repair costs will be astronomical, because there's so many different types of radars and technologies into this vehicle. The adaptive cruise control is incredible for somebody like us who travels across America. As long as you're moving over 28 miles an hour, you set a speed and the car speeds up or slows down with traffic, which means you can literally drive this car for hundreds of miles without having to literally touch the brake or the gas. It does that for you automatically. And with the lane assist, if you're changing lanes or if you're veering off the lane, the vehicle will almost steer itself back in the lane. You just have to keep your hands on the steering wheel, because if you take your hands off the steering wheel, it seems like the car already has the technology to almost self-drive itself, but it wants to know that you're there and paying attention, probably for liability reasons. But it seems like this car can pretty much drive itself, or at least take care of like 60% of the hassle while you're driving. It took a while to get used to Toyota. I don't think they really put too much effort into integration of all the technology that you're using inside the vehicle and how they lay it out. It seems like they're just going for refining what they already had and just kind of reinforcing and improving their product. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense the way things are laid out inside the car, and it really took a while to get used to it. There's so much safety technology into these newer Toyotas that it's still taking a while for me to figure everything out. For example, I recently found out that if you press the A button for lighting, if your bright lights are on as you're approaching an intersection or a stop sign, it turns off your bright lights, and once you're going beyond the intersection, then it turns them back on. Therefore, if you're driving through a residential neighborhood, as you approach a stop sign, your bright lights will turn off and then back on. And like this, there's a lot of safety and practicality that's been integrated to the technology of the vehicle, which means it's a very advanced piece of technology that you are driving, keeping you safe and helping you drive comfortably. And at close to 40 miles per gallon, that is very hard to beat. It also seems like they perfected the colors both of the interior and the exterior of the vehicle so that it doesn't get dirty and you don't have to clean it as often. They've really put some really good attention to making sure that the vehicle kind of stays clean. Another thing I did not like about the Chevy truck is that the truck bed was like a soda can. It was so thin and so fragile that in the short month-and-a-half period that I had the truck, it was already starting to get dented and scratched because the material, the metal, was so thin and the paint was so crappy that just with regular use, it was already coming off. Now this Corolla Camry thing that I bought, it's like a year, well, it's almost 2 years old now, and there's no issues with the paint anywhere on it. It seems like they really perfected the Camry and just made it a better vehicle time and time again, where with General Motors, the newer the car is, the crappier it gets. Therefore, even though I've historically been attached to my General Motor vehicles, I don't see me putting money into a car that every time the newer model is crappier than the last. And I don't think that the newer Toyotas are going to be as good as the older ones. While they're improving the technology, I do believe that these vehicles, if they were ever to have an accident, would almost certainly be a total loss considering the amount of technology that goes into every little detail. And I'm really hoping that this Camry, with all of its technology, doesn't turn out to be a Mercedes-Benz or a BMW that after 5 or 6 years starts to throw all types of errors and codes and electrical problems. Alright everybody, that is why I switched from General Motors to Toyota. I'm not going to tell you I love Toyota. I'm just going to tell you I hope it's better and I hope it's durable, because I am not really a fan of the brand. I just understand they're more reliable, and I cannot be driving across America in something that's going to let me down, especially if it's brand new.